Hello, BookTube. This is a shelf tour. Bookcase 8, Shelf 3, Part 1. This is the second time I've videoed this. We have no idea where this entire shelf, which was 2 videos, went to. Just disappeared. So I'll do it again. And I'll break up what shirt I'm wearing. And let's get right to it. So we start off with 2 more volumes of the Norton anthologies. In this case, it's a Norton Anthology of English Literature, and it's called the Major Authors Edition. Here are the end papers. And we start out here. It's W.W. Norton and Company, Incorporated, New York. This is 1962 first edition. It's M.H. Abrams was general editor, and then there's a list of editors under it there. And I like these because they're great surveys of literature. So we start with Geoffrey Chaucer. We have 16th and 17th century. So 16th starts with Spenser, 17th John Donne. Let's see. The Restoration in the 18th century starts with Dryden. The Romantic period begins with William Blake. And the Victorian age, Thomas Carlyle begins it. And then since 1890, Gerard Manley Hopkins begins it. In the second volume, obviously these used to have dust jackets. Same editor, W.W. Norton Company. And this page is a little hard to turn. And this is 1962 first edition. So here we begin Romantic period. Burns begins that off. Let's see. Victorian age, Carlyle starts off. And it has topics in Victorian literature. Since 1890, tradition and experiment in poetry. So anyway, you get the idea. The next volume here I have is A Reader's Guide to Writers London. End papers. This was published in 2001 by Prime Books. And it's by Ian Cunningham. So you basically, it's a tour of London as that city was impacted by writers, or when writers were present. Neighborhoods, that type of thing. Buildings. Fun volume. Then we get into a set that I have that is not complete. And I love it when I find them with the old dust jackets on. I really like them for some reason. This is the Oxford History of English Literature. And it looks like there was 12 of them. First one I have here is Oxford History of English Literature, edited by F.P. Wilson and Bonamy Dobre. English Literature in the 16th Century, excluding drama. The completion of the Clark Lectures, Trinity College, Cambridge, 1944, C.S. Lewis. I love the color of these dust jackets for some reason. So, this was published, this is a 1965 reprint of the 1954 first publication. And I find these used. I love to find the dust jackets, like I say, and because I buy them used, I'll keep the person's name out. Sometimes they have book plates in them, and they can be a blast. I am not adverse to a little biblioarchaeology. I love inscriptions. In the text, if there's notes, I prefer they be in pencil. I don't like highlighting. I don't like ballpoint pens or ink. For an inscription, ink's fine. You know, to Uncle Bob, we know you loved books. Or to Aunt May, we know you really enjoy this. Or, you know, Merry Christmas, Billy. Congratulations on, you know, those sorts of things are fun. And I don't, to me, they don't detract from the book. They add value. I like to see what previous owners have done and thought. With some exceptions, like I say. So second in this series, also with those beautiful dust jackets, Oxford History of Literature, is English Literature in the Earlier 17th Century, 1600 to 1660, second edition, Douglas Bush, Oxford at the Clarendon Press. And this was published in 1962. And moving right along here, in the same series, Oxford History of English Literature, English Literature 1789 to 1850 by W.L. Renwick, Oxford at the Clarendon Press. Again, in that just fantastic old dust jacket. This was Oxford at the Clarendon Press, 1963. Moving right along is the last one I have. And like I said, I'd really love to find the rest of these. Oxford History of English Literature, 1815 to 1832 by Ian Jack, Oxford at the Clarendon Press. Here's a list of the volumes. And this one came out in 1963. So the first two that I don't have that I'd like to get, Part 1 and 2 for the first volume is English Literature Before the Norman Conquest, and Part 2 of that is Middle English Literature. And then the second volume is also in two parts. The first one being Chaucer in the 15th century, and the second being the close of the Middle Ages. So I'd really like to find those, and all the other ones I don't have. So this was a fun thing for me. Then moving along here, we got Mallory Works, an old Oxford paperback edition. Pretty good shape. Let's see when this came out. This is edited by Eugene Vinaver, second edition, Oxford University Press. This edition, 1971. So you've got all the Arthurian stories here. Then this is a really pretty volume. Terry Jones, many of you remember him from Monty Python. In fact, there he is. But he has an interest in Chaucer, in particular, Who Murdered Chaucer, a medieval mystery. I know there's probably a little glare on this, but it's a beautiful volume. Give you an idea of some of the illustrations. So that's a little bit of literary detective work. And then, moving right along, we got this is by Lawrence Manley, Literature and Culture in Early Modern London. See if I can do this without any glare. It's one of those, what do they call, Cambridge University Press. Well, I guess there wasn't a series name, I thought there was. Mr. Manley is from Yale University, and this was published in 1995. So a detailed study of early modern London, the literature therein. And then this volume is another one where I don't have the complete set. This is the first volume, though, and it's something I dip into and I've used on papers when I was in school is why I originally had it. And that is The Diary of Samuel Pepys, and it's edited with additions by Henry B. Wheatley. And this is Volume 1, Random House, New York. I would like to own a complete set of the diaries, just because I love dipping in and out of them. So there's not really much publication date on this one. So that's the first half, part 1 of Shelf 3 of the 8th bookcase. Thank you, BookTube.